Split real estate. The Sussexes are desperate to spread rumors to erase the divorce news. Today, we have heard some news that Meghan and Harry apparently have sold their $14 million McMansion in Montecito. It has been reported by locals in Montecito that they moved out before Christmas of last year, and they have not been living together ever since then. Meghan is living in some cottage that was loaned to her by Oprah, and then Harry is living who knows where. Is the news true? Well, it's not like we would ever know. Nothing in Meghan and Harry's life is what it seems to be. It's all a bunch of smoke and mirrors because that's how they want things to be. Whatever they do always has to be shrouded in mystery and intrigue. They want to keep the world guessing. That seems to be Meghan's mantra. She believes that's going to keep everybody curious about her and so keep their names in the media. That certainly extends to every aspect of their lives, including whether or not they used a surrogate, whether or not they adopted one or two children, whatever it is. Unfortunately, for so many of us, myself included, to be honest with you, it is weirdly compulsive. It's like watching a bad soap opera with a storyline that's really difficult to follow because it doesn't make any sense, but somehow we feel like we have to keep on watching until the very end. In this instance, though, I kind of think they're just trying to create a smokescreen because they want people to be distracted by the fact that their marriage is over. I suspect the stress of all the lies they told about everything is coming back to bite them in the butt, and Harry is now coming to understand that he was just used to help Meghan's position in Hollywood. He's probably beginning to come to terms with the fact that Meghan did not marry him because she loved him. Harry is finally beginning to see for himself that everything William and Catherine warned him about has come true, and I believe there are even bigger lies that have not been disclosed about the kids. Although, unlike a real soap opera, there are not many other characters involved, because with every move Harry and Meghan have made since this whole soap opera started, they have alienated all the other would-be participants in their little story. There are many questions about the two of them and very few answers. We can include the question of did they even buy that home, or are they just renting it? Or did they ever really live there, or did they just take it for the day or the week or the month at a time, as I suspect it was still listed for rent for some time after they supposedly had bought it. There's also a source claiming the home was rented the whole time and it was owned by somebody else, somebody who passed away last year, and his widow decided to sell it this year. But you know, it doesn't really matter whether or not it's even true, because their celebrity facade is falling apart. It is just one fiasco after another. A leopard cannot change its spots. It doesn't matter how expensive their PR people are. There's another rumor floating around that Meghan and Harry are considering moving to Malibu. Maybe Montecito isn't good enough for them, so maybe they're looking around for a place down there, who knows. Maybe Meghan got sick of cleaning up after the chickens in the chicken coop or something. I mean, actually, Harry and Meghan are on the nose to pretty much everybody these days. They stink to high heaven. Why did they even need 16 bathrooms in that Olive Garden-looking McMansion? I mean, they're not known to have anybody over, so who in the world is using all those toilets? The fact is, they haven't hosted any big parties or dinners, that we know of, and I'm sure we would know all about it. And as far as we can figure, nobody comes to visit them. They don't have any friends or families. There are no children's parties, of course. They seem to only have one attendee at those parties, actually, and that is Doria. She seems to be the only permanent fixture in Meghan's life, besides Harry when he's there, of course. So I guess a change of scene might make sense. And Malibu would also be a logical choice because apparently, as according to the article, Meghan remembers Malibu from her childhood. Oh, I thought she was so poor though. I wouldn't have thought that she would know anything about Malibu. Maybe Mr. Thomas Markle, Meghan's father, drove her down there to feed her at what had to have been the most expensive Sizzler salad bar in SoCal, where Meghan could rub elbows with all the most glamorous people, equally dining a la mode strandside at Sizzler. Even back then, little Rachel Meghan knew exactly what she wanted. But again, you can easily feel the dark hand of WME all over this article, and probably the move too. They are so desperate to reposition Meghan Markle, and it has to include a physical change of address too. She's got to be at the very core of the beachside playground, as some type of prelude before she lands her big part, I mean. So sure, Meghan should move where she's in the middle of things, where LA and Hollywood movers and shakers are busy landing deals. That is how these things work, right? So just a little bit more exposure, and then she's going to be loved and adored, right? Because really, to see Meghan, to know her, is to fall in love with her. Oh, wait a minute, that's not true at all. What's not to love? Can anybody else smell how desperate they really are? Maybe after getting called effing grifters by that powerful media executive, their neighbors are not so warm and welcoming to them anymore. Maybe Meghan and Harry have been frozen out among the Santa Barbara wealthy and famous because they don't want to be in the next tell-all book. I wonder if that could be it. They're going to continue to be grifters. That's what they have been this whole time. There are so many stories about Meghan reaching out to celebrities and famous people and asking to use a beach house or a mansion for a visit to the area. If you ask me, the worst, though, is when they ask to use people's private jet to get around. Now, maybe it worked in the past, but now everybody knows Meghan Markle is a con artist. She is a mooch. Both of them lack any skills for gainful employment. Meghan's best bet would be to go back to pornography, but she's probably too recognizable at this point for yachting, so I don't know if that would even work. Last but far from least, are we ever going to find out, or even do we really care anymore is probably a better question. If you ask me, they're just a couple of throwaways from both the UK, decent society, and the US crowd. I'm not convinced they were ever actually relevant, but if they ever were somebody's, well, now that is firmly in the past. What they are now is a pouty, sulking prince without any power and no country really, and then this wannabe actress who never made it to the top. Both of them were given so many opportunities, but both of them ruined everything. They have treated their families like crap, and in public too, and just to make money for themselves. And what good has come out of any of it, seriously? I mean, Meghan's family is doing just fine without them. Harry's family is also doing just fine, in spite of the fact that they made their problems into their own show. We saw that show. Once Royal was gone, that was it. And Royal really did try, but Royal cannot stoop so low. It represents a very proud country. It's got a job to do. And doesn't it do a wonderful job of it? The king with his humble, hard-working wife out there every single day working so hard on behalf of the country. The Prince and Princess of Wales, well, they're out there too. They are going out there and highlighting the very best that Britain has to offer. And the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh are everywhere. They're highlighting charities and shows, achievements. And what about the Princess Royal? How could we forget her? She's always there, and she is always perfect. So does it matter where Meghan and Harry are living? Well, maybe it does, mostly to Meghan though. The Montecito enclave has not been very welcoming. They cannot afford to live there, that's the truth of the matter. And beggars and grifters, yeah, they're not very popular in the land of the wealthy. The children are not allowed to play outside because of the smell, and apparently there's a marijuana factory nearby. So having tennis courts and swimming pools, etc. are basically unheard of, and they're simply for show, much like those 16 bathrooms. They are not a welcome addition to that area. And there's also that little question of whether or not they even own that property. Recently, that has been in doubt. It is suspected they've been living under a lease with an option to purchase. Since the Russian owner passed away last March, now his wife is wanting to either complete their purchase or she's going to sell it to somebody else. That's just according to the rumor, so believe what you want. Malibu would be the next likely spot that represents money and prestige for Meghan's over-the-top tastes. She's not going to go too much further south because she may run into some old acquaintances, the people who really knew her, and she can't have that. Meghan just keeps on throwing money around, money that's not hers, and she keeps on chasing after something that's never going to happen. I mean, if she didn't have what it took to be a real star when she was 20, she definitely doesn't have it now. Now she's close to 50. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being 50 years old. I mean, for me, that's young. It's just not the right age to all of a sudden become a Hollywood star. Meghan is insane. I cannot understand how she believed that Harry would be able to make all her dreams come true. All the Diana stuff is just sick. I mean, it's ridiculous. Meghan claims she talks to Diana. Yeah, right, Meghan. Nobody believes you.